I promised you earlier on that I'd be catching up with our guest for today, Esther McGeer, on the other side of the line. Good afternoon and welcome to Impact, Esther.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so great chatting with you.
Looks like you've disappeared on me now, but it's fine. I get it.
You
It's
know,
good.
these things with Zoom, as soon as you enter a Zoom conversation, someone wants to see your face. I'm like, I've been working remotely. I don't
No,
think you want to see my face, but I'm
no,
here.
no, but it's good. Now, welcome. It's so great to have you talking about a very interesting topic, I have to say, especially in these times of COVID-19. I believe it's so, so, so important. We're talking digital marketing, Esther. Now, tell us, what does it mean for a business to go digital in the marketing space?
Well, I think, like you alluded to now, there's been so much change for us and so much change for consumers and for clientele around the internet in the last year, even. So, going digital used to mean putting a great strategy together and putting your platforms together and having channels and going online and making yourself available for people to discover you. But what we've seen happening in the last year is that there's just been this influx of businesses going online, going digital, going into a digital market space and spreading advertising spend everywhere. And what that's essentially led to is that because also our entire market has moved online, they can't shop in person anymore. COVID has led them there, but they're getting all this messaging all day long from different brands. And it's led to like an advertising paralysis. And so what it means to go online at the moment is that you're entering a very, very noisy space. But you have access to many more sales channels if your business does exist online. You have direct access to your customers to be able to share with them, educate them, and persuade them about your brand for longer periods of time because you've got their attention. And also, you're able to discover your niche audiences where you need to find them. So, however niche, today through LinkedIn, we can target job titles, company names. We can find the consumer where they're at in the world, really. It's not just about advertising to South Africa anymore. And then also through digital, you're able to look at your return on investment and in a much, much more in-depth way. Like you're able to test what you're doing with your marketplace. You're able to analyze, see the numbers, and then look at what that's doing for your bottom line directly. And I think that's something that hasn't always existed in the marketing space, which is exciting about the digital space. You can actually see reaction and engagement with your clientele, with your consumers, and really entice them through that to purchase or connect with your brand in the way that you want them to.
Interesting. So, what would your advice be to someone who's just taken their business into the digital space but hasn't seen any positive results as yet?
Yeah, so I think this is an interesting one that we often also get from our clientele because as soon as you building a website for someone there and the process is long, often they're wanting to see the next day you go live and there are results, and that's not really how it works. Your digital strategy still needs to be in place and needs to be constantly refined so that you can meet people where they're at. You're still needing to have a long strategic approach in a very noisy environment, as I said early on. So our approach is to look at your existing customer database, see who's in that database and how they're acting and how they're speaking to you and what they're interested in when your brand does communicate with them. And from that, develop your strategies for everyone else online. I think the thing about really understanding who your existing customer database is about developing empathy for your customers. And that's what's being involved in digital and being on social is all about. It's about being able to speak to your customers wherever they are, but with that element of empathy to all that you're creating for them.
Interesting, I have to say. Now, in the realm of digital media, how does a business navigate the balance between chasing trends and being unique?
Wow. So I would never, ever chase a trend, to be honest with you. Just because
Because
something's new, bright, and shiny doesn't mean that it's for your people. You're not creating for the entire internet out here. You're creating for your customer. So the best thing to do is to put together a good digital strategy that shows that you know your customer, know how they behave online, know how they speak. And then from there, you develop problem-solving techniques or the tactics to meet with them. The best and most innovative techniques for marketing in digital go all the way back to did I meet my customer at their point of need? Did I speak to them in such a way that they understood what I was trying to convince them of and then bought into the brand or bought into the product? It's not necessarily about the biggest, bright, shiny machine that you plug into the whole system.
I love what you mentioned in the beginning, just how not everybody is looking for a generic way of doing things because you're speaking to a totally different audience altogether. That is so true. Now, tell me, what in your opinion then is the most exciting thing that digital marketing is bringing to the table these days?
I think what's really exciting about digital marketing is what I'm super excited about in this world is the numbers, analytics. And I think for any business owner, that's kind of really what actually matters is what I did in my marketing efforts, did it affect the bottom line at the end of the day? So for me, what's so exciting about digital marketing is that you can really monitor, test, and optimize at every point your return on investment. But also really exciting things happening in the sphere of digital and on the internet at the moment. We're all interested in internet security. I know recently there was the whole debate between Telegram and WhatsApp and whether our data is being used responsibly. And to be honest with you, if you're getting off WhatsApp, getting on Telegram today, you're informed about your data usage, but not as informed as you should be, because in order to get all your
Interesting.
data protected, you got to get off the internet. Google already has all your data. Facebook, who owns WhatsApp, already have all your data. So really interesting discussion happening around how we can protect our data as consumers. Something really cool that's happening is a browser that I'm quite interested in called the Brave browser. And that browser is basically has a system in which you as a customer, if you accept to view adverts, you earn tokens and in turn can use those tokens again. So basically you're getting paid for your data and you can
Oh,
use your token to invest in advertising again. So giving you the power of what your data can generate in terms of revenue, even in your own world. I think that's really exciting. And then really cool technology that's out there. I don't know if you've seen the stuff Google's currently doing with augmented reality, where you're able to Google the word dog. Actually, try this today. Google the word dog and then have a look at under the description for dog, Google will give you the option to view it 3D. Then Google will give you the option to view it 3D in your space. And you can, like, for example, if you think you want to have a French bulldog in your home, you and your partner can view the French bulldog in your home and see if it matches the carpets. I don't know. Like, just a really exciting, innovative things that's happening around augmented reality. We're seeing our clients who do interior design, etc., use that for you to be able to superimpose the curtains you do want on the wall or the color of paint you want on the walls. That stuff's really, really exciting and new in the digital space.
wow. Now, what are some of your favorite brands in the digital space and what do you love about them?
I think for me, like again, from an analytics perspective, always been interested in the Netflix and the Amazons. The reason for that is that those are the two big digital giants that are using customer information, so data. So looking at what you're spending on, what you're viewing in these spaces, and out of that, developing products for you as the customer. So, for example, Netflix is investing in creating content out of the analytics that they see of their consumers and what their consumers are interested in viewing, watching, consuming, and just makes the overall experience better for you. Netflix has learned that they have to keep you watching their channel for 15 hours a month to keep your subscription going. And from that, they're developing content, developing ways of communicating with you. I think that's really exciting. In terms of a seamless customer experience, I'm really interested in Mr. Price. the clothing store, just from what they're able to do in terms of storytelling. If you go to their social media, they're saying and doing the same things as what they're doing on their website, is what they're doing in their store. And you just have that seamless experience. You feel like you're clicking one thing and purchasing immediately. And what's interesting in South Africa is actually we've seen that across South African customers, the average online shopper earns 10,000 Rand a month. So if you think that online shoppers only have to be people who are earning great margins to want to be online, you're wrong. There's a huge customer database online that is in that sector that's purchasing every single day. And that's quite exciting to me. And then also just excited to see NGOs using digital in really, really positive ways. There's a NGO called the Child Rescue Coalition, who saves lives by tracking the dark web and pinpointing locations and taking down pedophiles online that way. That for me is really exciting, positive work that we can be doing through tracking people and through understanding people's data online.
Wow, it's really fascinating your understanding of this digital world, I have to say. Actually, when you made mention of one of the clothing stores that are so quick and basically the seamless shopping online, versus in store as well. Actually, I had an experience, man. I ended up canceling my purchase yesterday with a store I won't mention by name, clothing store. My friend and I are sitting and we're trying to buy a couple of stuff. And eventually, like, I don't know if it's a security thing, but it took so long and all these steps we had to follow, Esther, to a point where we were both just like, you know what, we're not doing this. This is it. We canceled the whole purchase
Absolutely.
because it's just too
Absolutely.
complicated. I mean, the steps weren't as complicated, instruction wasn't as complicated, but there were just too many steps. Eventually, we were like, this is not worth it.
I mean, that's the thing, is like a lot of brands get obsessed with themselves, if we can say it that way, and they think and act and write and create according to what they know about their business and they know about what they want their customers to do. But they don't often have the empathy for the customer to understand what the customer actually needs in their experience and at each point, how the customer actually wants to be spoken to. And that's why I'm really passionate about this space and wanting to work in this space, because it all started, I mean, I mentioned to you earlier, my first job ever was at Impact Radio. I was a sports presenter in 2005. That's giving away my age a little
Wow.
bit. At Impact Radio. But really what was interesting to me about the media space is that you get to speak to people where they are in their homes every day, and developing the content, developing the chats that we were going to have for those people really gave me an empathy for listeners. And that has honestly continued on through my career for the last 15 years into marketing too. So I can almost say, thanks to the team at Impact Radio,
We'll
Adele
take
and
the
friends,
credit. We'll
I'm
take the
still
credit.
I am still monitoring people's lives and creating content for them.
That's amazing. Now, tell me, who is the digital space for exactly?
Oh, well, I mean, the
That
digital
tone
space.
of
The digital space is our whole new world. It's kind of where we're living in right now, right? So it's for, are you human? Because then the digital space is for you. What needs to happen, though, is that those who are creating in the digital space need to act more human. And something we often say is content is king. Invest in the content that you're making. But distribution is queen, and she wears the pants. So we also have to
okay.
know, we have to know who, what, when, and how, why before we start. But essentially, every human above 16 years old is available to us on the internet.
Interesting. Lastly, tell us, Esther, where's the best place to start for a business interested in getting into the digital space?
I would say if you're starting out, it's really a good time at the start to invest in getting educated and also potentially bringing on a partner or a service provider or someone that can at least walk the road of your strategic positioning with you and help you just identify the moments with your customers and identify and analyze your existing customer database and really understand the key performance indicators that are going to get people to what you need them to do is invest in your product or your service so that you can increase your bottom line. So really, I would say look for a good service provider or partner, but stay away from service providers or partners that are going to just talk to you about how something will look. We know that content marketing and storytelling is half the job. You got to invest in solid creative assets, but that's only halfway. The next step is to be able to build trust with your customers through understanding what their needs are. So look for a service provider that's going to talk to you about analyzing the numbers, understanding the numbers, and being agile in terms of making changes, optimizing the entire process through based on the numbers and what eventually affects you, your bottom line.
This is really eye-opening. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you for your time. Thank you for such information for people in the business space as well. And somebody once mentioned something, Esther. They said you might not have an established business, but you are actually a business entity in yourself. And so this probably comes in handy for 99.9% of us right now. Thank you so
100%.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Have a good one then. That's Esther McGeer. Like I said, we're talking digital marketing in this day and age and its importance.